What's up, guys? Welcome to Faders of the Lost Art. We're here live at NAMM 2024 NAMM show. We are blessed to be here. Another great NAMM January. We love it. We're here at the amazing Cloud Microphones booth. Amazing gear. We love them. We partnered up with them yet again. So thank you so much to Cloud for hosting us. And a big shout out to our sponsors, of course, Cloud Microphones, holding it down. Amazing stuff. Avid, Arturia, Dutch and Dutch, Focusrite, Isotope, Leapwing, McDSP, shout out McDSP, Native Instruments. And we can't forget, last but not least, Make Believe Plugins.
Oh, no.
We got the guys from Make Believe Plugins here. Rick Carson, Ryan Harvey, and Kevin from Kevin's Limiter, if you guys know Kevin's Limiter. And of course, without further ado, my good friend Josh Gannet in the building.
What's up?
Worked with Wu-Tang, an incredible amount of hours put in, an incredible engineer, an incredible amount of records put out. This guy is a beast, so don't sleep on Josh. Definitely get to know him, and let's get into it, boys. What's up? Welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having us.
Nico, this is super dope, by the way.
Super dope. We got to get one. Like, can we get a 1, 2, 3 super dope just for old time's sake?
Yep.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Super dope.
I will say, I felt very concerned about being off time there. I want everybody to know.
I like
you did
chorus.
great.
You don't
I
like
think I did good, but
yeah.
We're decent
put,
musicians.
put me on the spot.
I'm stoked to meet the infamous Kevin of Kevin's Limiter.
Yeah,
This
dude.
is Kevin.
Yeah.
I do exist. I like to stay in the shadows mostly, but yeah.
We brought him out. We
Limiter
found
is
him.
attached to a human.
Right on.
Kevin.
Oh, I was going to just say, Kevin knows how to limit.
I was just gonna say Kevin is absolutely a no thrills, no frills type of guy.
I have no settings. You cannot change me.
Yeah, you can't
Very
change
rigid
Kevin.
in his ways.
You can't break me.
Goes in and comes out. That's how you get it.
Absolutely.
So what other, speaking of Kevin's limiter, Kevin, what limiters other than Kevin's limiter do you like to use? Give me, just rattle off a couple limiters that are some of your favorites.
My favorite's probably Mio Limit.
Yeah, who makes that?
That was made by Metric Halo. And then
Okay.
these days, I use a lot of the Ozone Limiter,
Okay. Which one?
the 10.
10. I
Okay.
like 10
Yeah.
too. I'm stuck on 10 actually.
And IRC 2 typically, sometimes 4. But
Okay. Which drop down on 4?
default. I don't change it typically. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
Does it-
transparent?
I think modern
Is modern
or transparent.
Yeah, it's one of the first two
Yeah.
that comes up. Yeah.
And then occasionally, if it's very bass heavy music, I will attempt the God Particle Limiter.
Oh,
well.
type
Okay.
just
Yeah.
the limiter section?
It's,
Or you slap the whole thing on
yes,
there?
and any or all of the above.
Are you a tweak the sparkles kind of guy?
I used to be if it works, just leave it at 100.
Right.
But I've recently delved into smaller percentages.
I'm with you on
yeah.
that. I've been like, you know what? Just a little bit. And it's like, okay, I could actually dial into it now, work into it instead of just accepting what it's giving me.
Right.
And be like, okay, let me fix the mix to compensate and leave him at 100. I've been kind of dialing it back a little bit. Same with the gain input. I've been gaining. I used to just slam right into God Particle, and now I've been bringing the input gain down quite a bit. So tight. What about you guys? Favorite limiters? Let's go down the line.
I'm a big fan of Kevin's limiter. I'm also a big fan of DMG Limitless.
Yes.
Limitless is great.
Big time.
Limitless gets some love at my studio, but also, I'm a creature of habit, so things like, L2, the L3, maximizer, multi-band. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time with those guys.
Are you oversampling
No, I hate oversampling.
at all?
I think-
1x, 2x, nothing?
No, I think it's, for the most part, introduces pre-green sounds bad, and there's more elegant ways to do it, but for me, not the one.
Not on any plugin.
No. I mean, a lot of things oversample internally, and there's no
Right.
control over it. So,
Right.
that is what it is. But
Right.
if I'm given the option, no, I'm going to tend to either just run at a higher sample rate or leave it alone.
Sweet. Limiters?
Yeah, I like you said, creature of habit kind of thing with those. I play around a little and just try whatever I scroll onto, but usually I end up finding myself with an L2, L3. those sorts
L2,
of
L3. Are you oversampling?
things. No.
No oversampling. What about True Peak?
I guess it depends on what I'm working on. I'll tweak a little bit, but I kind of have my one set and go setting that I usually will fall into.
What algorithm? Transparent, punchy?
What is my setting right now? I'm trying to think of what I have it set at.
It's sometimes we just set it and forget it. And
yeah,
we just
I have my
forget.
preset that I've been using for a long time that I
Yep.
kind of just go to. I'd have to actually look at it to.
Yeah. I use transparent quite a bit, and then I think there's a transient one that I use a little bit sometimes, depending on the material. Yeah, transparent though. I usually try and keep everything always like transparent.
Transparent, and then modern would probably be the second runner-up, and then punchy, I think it is.
Yep.
Sometimes that'll knock.
Yeah.
Punchy is very occasional.
Yeah, very.
But when
occasional.
it works, it's like
yeah, it's the right
that
one.
was in there. Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
else is clipping. When everything else is clipping, like it's an option.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a time and a place for everything. So, on Ozone, my little secret is IRC3
Okay.
transparent.
Okay.
Okay.
Transparent drop down. Sometimes on a vintage thing you might put classic, but it's a little too dark for my taste. I like to, like you said, get that sound from a different part of the mix and keep my master transparent. Yep.
Nico, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You only got to choose one, right? Out of two.
All right.
You going Ozone 4, Ozone 5.
Ozone 4. My
My
boy
guy.
Jay, shout out Jason Joshua. You already know.
That limiter is the loudest limiter to mankind.
Literally.
That's why I like it. I
And
think it's so
supposedly
loud.
there's some juju from that in God Particle.
Oh, absolutely.
So even the color scheme, you didn't get it from. I'm just kidding. I made that up. But yeah, so do you shoot a couple limiters at us?
I mean, I like the Ozone 4 one.
Ozone 4,
Everyone's
that's
pretty
your-
much named everything that's
You're
worth
still on
using.
Ozone 4?
We have
If
the
I'm
ability
not-
to run it.
If
Right.
I'm not using
Yeah.
what everyone else has just
I heard
mentioned.
something about a Catalina wine mixer, but don't ask me.
Yeah. I mean, Blue Cat is definitely involved in running Ozone at this
Something
point.
Absolutely,
like that.
yeah.
You know, shout out to Blue Cat, great rapper there.
Absolutely.
Sigmod, that's another great rapper by Nugent.
Okay,
Yep.
tight.
Yeah.
Waves just came out with the Studio Live or whatever.
that-
You can just rap
That's
any
another
VST
rapper?
Yeah,
Dude,
we're
sick.
hearing a lot of people are using that live, with our stuff, which is great to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, using the Soundtech just across.
That's really
front of house
interesting. And
mixes.
then does that work on their sound grid tech?
No. So
It's actually just
yeah, it's the ability to.
Yeah, it just wraps it.
Wraps the plugin.
And then all of our stuff zero latency, so that we're never adding to your latency that
sick.
you're getting from your stuff. So, yeah,
that's amazing. All right, just for those of you that don't know, what are some of the plugins that you guys developed as Make Believe plugins?
So, we have a set of plugins called the Make Believe Bundle, which includes a lot of things that we developed at the studio. That is Kevin's limiter. And then we have MBEQ, which is our modernized take on how to interact and work with Metric Halo's channel strip. And then there's things like the parallel process plugins, which are, simple devices just made to make things sound better. And then we have our first official analog model, which is the Soundtech plugin that we did in collaboration with
That's
Burgess McNeil, one of the inventors
Great
of the
sounding
parametric
plugin.
equalizer. Thank you
Amazing
so much.
sounding
Thank you.
plugin. What are give us some secrets on the Soundtech. What are the sweet spots? I know you're going to say every frequency has its job or whatever, but vocals. Do this.
I've spent a lot of time with the Soundtech, so I can definitely give away some tricks that I've come across. So one, a lot of people, love the Soundtech's top end, and it's, I would say, historically wonderful. But 8K and 10K are one thing. If you go to the bell and you take that up to 16, 19, 21K and make that extremely wide, it can be very, very, very pleasing and extremely useful. And it can brighten up a record in a way that is almost unperceivable unless you turn it off. The Soundtech does an interesting thing, and we refer to them, as, the extra width of the bells. But if you make a really wide bell on that equalizer, it won't stop at 1K on its way down. It will pretty much continue all the way down to DC. And when it does that, it brings up all of the audio in the signal in a very interesting way. So that is probably the one thing that I would say, if you're going to download the Soundtech and demo it. Go put it at 19K, make the bell as wide as possible, and turn that up, because not only is it great at the top end, but it does something across the whole frequency spectrum that is very musical and pleasing.
Little extra sauce there on top of your mix.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
Okay, and then where in the mix bus? Just where do you put it? Obviously, try different things, but would you put it first? Would you put it last? Would you put it?
If mix bus and master is different, so it depends on exactly what I need out of the mix bus. But I tend to equalize after the compressor on a mix bus, where I tend to equalize before a compressor almost everywhere else. So, how I look at EQing into compression and out of compression is like, if you EQ into a compressor, you're going to, put things into a box, and the compressor is going to be what size that box that is.
Right.
Where if you EQ after a compressor, you're pretty much saying, well, here's a box, and I want 60 hertz to run free. You
Right.
know?
Right.
So I tend to use it there. If it's a master, the Soundtech is used second and third in my chain. So I've got some filters that I'll utilize if I
Right.
need them, and then I've got a Soundtech setup for MS and a Soundtech setup for left and right.
Oh, cool. That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some vocal action. What are some of your favorite tracking vocal plugins or hardware or chain or whatever?
I mean,
Vocal
for
sauce.
for hardware, I like I like some classic stuff. I like using when I had access to it, 1064 and Neve 1064. I was a big fan of, but 1073, I'm a fan of, and just an old 1176, and I like LA2A after that very often, and yeah, it's pretty
1073,
straightforward.
1176, LA2A.
Yep.
And then plugins coming in.
Plugins coming in, usually I don't do too many plugins coming in unless it's something that's necessary to get the artist really in the zone. I prefer to do it afterwards, and see what we have, what we're actually working with, and then manipulate from there, as opposed to listening to something, thinking I have one thing, and then when I go to make adjustments after the fact, realizing I'm kind of at a different starting point than I thought.
That's
So
great.
I'd rather know where I'm at on the way in, unless, like I said, if it's something the artist needs to get more in the zone, then sure, we'll add things as needed.
Gotcha.
But as far as on the plugin like mixing side, I've been building a lot. You mentioned, I think, the studio rack, the Wave Studio rack. So I've been building a lot of different channels in that, and just finding myself having a little bit more freedom to experiment quickly, because I'll set something up that I know I like, and then just add an extra bank or swap something in and out, and
That's cool.
kind of go quickly. But yeah.
Dude, that's sick. That's a completely different perspective than I take. I'm just personally, because I'm a loser, don't like or love the sound of the LA2A. So, stuff like that, it's just like opposite. And then I put a bunch of plugins on, and but it's a great perspective to have an idea of what you got coming in, and it's hard to make that sound good, to give it that,
Well, I think a lot of times we, naturally kind of all try and justify our worth sometimes, and
Absolutely.
and you can find yourself, trying to tweak things sometimes for the sake of tweaking without actually stopping to listen to what you're doing. Like one of the things you guys make, the Good Math. One of the things that I love about Good Math is that I don't know exactly what each thing means. And so it's not like I have a point of reference from everything else I've done in audio to say, oh, if I turn this here, it's going to do that. I just have to listen to it. I just mess with it, and I'm listening, and oh, that sounds cool. Once it sounds cool, then you're in a pretty good spot, as opposed to saying, yeah, I'm going to go for this frequency and make my curve like this and boost it like that. Just listen.
Just use your ears.
Absolutely.
Can't beat that. Can't beat that. Vocal sauce. Who's got some vocal sauce for us?
I just want to interject here on the vocal sauce thing, because you brought up one of my favorite things, and then you said that you don't like it, and I live right in the middle of both of you guys. So the 1176 into the LA2A, wonderful chain. It's got a great tone, and then there's very musical compression from the LA2A. You don't like the sound of the LA2A, and I get that because it can darken things and it can be a little bit heavy-handed on the low end for sure. The LA3A, my friends, is an 1176 on the front and the back end, and it has the compression stage of an LA2A. It is a dream, and that is what I use on my lead vocal. I built 7 of them. They're wonderful.
Okay.
Yep.
So, preamp?
We use a 1073.
1073 to an LA3A.
Yep.
Sontech preamp's also incredible.
Yeah,
on
the
vocals.
Sontech preamp,
Like,
we
wow.
do use that a lot.
Sweet. Who makes that?
Sontech.
No, that's awesome. That'd be cool to see somebody else do a take on that too. But Sontech's incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible stuff.
it's very interesting because when I got into the industry, there was this big movement of high-speed transformerless microphone preamplifiers that were really, really pushed. The Graces, the GMLs, things like the Sontech. And everybody was tracking vocals with something like that when I originally came into the industry. And now it's shifted back towards these vintage-style preamplifiers with transformers and discrete op amps. But try one of those out if you ever get a chance.
I think it also has to do with a combination of what microphones were available at that time.
They're the same microphones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shit, Dan. I don't know. I feel like the microphones are now faster. The capsules are a lot faster, so you almost want to complement with a tube or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like the U87 and the C800G and all that stuff, like they existed then, and people were tracking great sounds with it. I think that it comes down to a shift in what people are deeming acceptable. Back then, as we moved into digital audio, people were trying to clean things up, and they had been for the past 60 years of pro audio. There was a reason why people spent $1 million on an SSL 9000, and the reason why is because they were trying to get that next level of cleanliness because the medium that they were tracking to, the analog tape machine, was dirty.
Exactly.
And I think it got to the point where when we first hit digital audio, people were still continuing to try and be clean, and they were also still tracking analog,
Right.
But audio in general was clean and pristine. And now we're in a point where people are saying, well, your medium that you record to is very, very clean. Let's try and capture what essence and soul you want on your recording on the way in.
Yeah, not letting clean become sterile.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line. Do you guys have any vocal sauce for us?
I'm also a man of the 1064. And then, honestly, I really like a distressor on vocals, especially for aggressive stuff. But
Can you give us any cheat codes on that? Obviously, it depends on the input volume, but settings, ratios.
opto mode
Optimal, I was just going to
is
say.
incredible.
Do you
on that
use
thing.
any of the detector?
Yeah, so I put the high pass on the detectors. typically.
Not the 7K peak one?
I haven't experimented with it enough, perhaps.
I will say, opto mode on a distressor with the high pass and that 7K peak, sidechain option is a very, very nice female vocal compressor.
Okay.
Because, female vocalists, just because of their range, they can get a little bit on the harsher side when pushing into something like the C800G. And that thing smooths it.
So
way out.
clarify for me, if you engage opto mode,
So
that bypasses the ratio?
well, it goes
Or
to
automatic?
yeah. It's pretty much like 10-to-1 ratio or something like that.
So it's 10 to 1 activates the setting, and then it's a very specific all the way attack and release will engage opto mode, which makes it program dependent, as opposed to like a typical threshold kind of situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the opto mode though does use a 10-to-1 ratio, which is right on the verge of compression and limiting in that box. The
Right.
thing that's very interesting about Dave Durr's design and what's really smart about it is that the knees on those compressor and by the compressors, what I mean by that is that every ratio inside of a distressor is pretty much a different compressor, and the knees change dramatically. Like the 2-to-1 ratio has like almost a half a second knee. It's incredibly
That's
long.
crazy.
But the way that it reacts is so musical. He's very smart.
2 to 1's my spot on the distressor. I love that. I love 2 to 1.
Yep.
2 to 1 and 3 to 1 on guitars is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, you can crush 2-to-1 like 40 dB, and it just doesn't even sound like it's there.
Give me some sauce on the nuke. Do you guys nuke at all?
Oh fuck yeah,
Room
man.
mics. I
Room
nuke
mics.
the hell out of room mics.
Yeah.
Room mics?
Yeah,
Nuke 'em?
20-to-1 is a little bit more useful to me than Nuke, just because I feel like Nuke just does something where it kind of like rips the transient a little bit harsh, but it's very, very useful on room mics. And if I didn't have access to a listen mic compressor, that's how I would emulate that sound, But 20-to-1 is a smacker, dude.
Yeah.
Sauce, baby, sauce. Super dope.
Super
This is my boys. These guys have been hanging out with me since the Clubhouse days. We met on Clubhouse. For those of you that don't know, it's an obscure internet app where we'd all communicate and get in chat groups with random people from across the world and talking. We, of course, nerd it out all the time. So it was great to meet you guys then. It was great to hang out with you now. What's next? What's next? What's next for you guys? I have something in mind for the next subject, but what's next for you guys? Do you guys have any questions for me, or what's next in the future of music?
Yeah, I mean, the question I got to ask, since we're out here for the people on the internet, how's Vegas?
Oh, Vegas is great. It's deserted. It's hot, but now it's really cold. So you either got to pick one. I've been staying out of the clubs.
I was about to say, you going gambling?
I've been staying away from the casino.
Well done. Well done. That's a win.
That's
you
all.
said that like you've been to the casino.
I would frequent when I wasn't a resident.
Okay.
And now, it's different. When you live there, it's different, right? It's like me going like, how are the steaks in Omaha?
They're great.
But you probably like, all right, calm down. I'm not going to eat steak every day.
What do you mean? I literally yell, let's go to the steakhouse like 5 days a week.
Dude, I need to move to Omaha. I don't know what
Come
I'm
through.
doing in Vegas. Jeez. But, all right, so favorite microphone or microphones? Top mics that you either own currently or you could Holy Grail mic, whatever.
Are we talking vocals? We just talking anything?
Yeah, that's a.
Okay, vocal mic. Let's start with vocal mics and then we'll go to just obscurity.
Vocal, I mean, it's. I'm a big fan of the 800. I like the way that sounds, especially working with a lot of hip hop. I like the way that sounds on hip hop vocal. There's a bunch of random mics that I find us using with different artists a lot more than an 800 actually. But if I want something that I know is going to sound great, that's
like
that's
a winner
great
every
option.
time.
Yeah. I'll say an obscure mic that I'm a big fan of that I own, not vocal related, is I have a bunch of old RCA ribbons, and I have a PB90, which is pretty badass mic, and
That's pretty
things
rad.
like 1,000 pounds. And yeah, big fan of
That's
that.
insane.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
Talk about obscure stuff, dude.
Yeah, man.
That's sick.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, Cloud has an amazing ribbon. That thing can take a beating.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of source material do you like using the ribbons for?
All sorts of stuff. I mean, it's dangerous. You have to have a little distance, but I love it for an extra distant low tone on a kick drum. I like using ribbons for room mics, for overhead mics. I like using ribbons on horns. Take off some of the harshness. Yeah, all sorts of things. I'm a big fan of using ribbons.
Dude, that's epic. Do you ever do my favorite thing? Well, I'll just skip to myself. Thanks, guys. My favorite thing with ribbons is the one mic over the drum kit has a tight little sound there, and then vocals.
Yep.
Some female vocals
Some
through a ribbon
smoky
is pretty
vocals.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just roll that kind of harshness off.
Cloud actually makes that active ribbon microphone with the couple voicing options on it that I think is a very, at AES, that was the one thing that I was like, that would be a great vocal microphone.
It is a great vocal mic. That switch is very useful.
Yes.
And it's great that you could, just turn the music stand this way for, guitar cab, turn it up, use it as a vocal mic, hit one switch. It's pretty useful tool in the studio.
Yeah, and it's also, nice as far as its placement goes, because if you're on the other side of the glass and you want the artist to switch that thing for you so you can actually test the option, they're not leaning over, they're not trying something on a power supply.
Yep.
Right.
And everybody's going to probably say that they love the C800G to take for Desert Island vocal mic, but I know all your motherfucking cables are frayed. SM7.
You know what?
SM7's a great mic.
Damn it, Rick, you stole mine.
It's a great mic.
It is a great mic, and the SM7
DB.
I mean, mine's
DB also has
With the built-in
a
cloud
cloud
lifter,
lifter
right?
built in.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know.
I'm old school where I just have the SM7
And
a
the
cloud.
cloud lifter.
And,
Same here. Same here.
I will say I
as well.
I really like the vibe that Cloud Lifter brings to Make Believe. Not in the sense that it sounds amazing and that it's incredibly useful in multiple spots, but when you open up the door to our microphone closet, you're just hit with 4 American flags on
There
the
you
side of the
go.
box,
I love
and it's
that.
just like, dang. Let's
And it's
go.
all
Just hear
made
an eagle
here.
go off in the
Then
background.
you get a nice Omaha steak ready.
Yeah.
It's like I open it up.
buddy.
I'm like, let's go to the steakhouse.
Dude, for real. No wonder you want to go to the steakhouse so much.
we
But
just-
yeah, all the cloud stuff is made in America.
That's very
it's
cool.
really epic material. Everything has a lot of love put into it, and it's really a standout product. It's like, I mean, aside from all the really cool things that technology does, the actual craftsmanship of the product is pretty rad.
Well, yeah, and stuff like the Shore collaboration that you're talking about, and this collaboration with Faders of the Lost Art. I really like the way that they're doing business.
I agree.
And that's a big thing for me. I think that they're doing good, ethical business, and they're friendly guys who are trying really, really hard to make great stuff.
Yeah, and they really care about, feedback and working with an artist. And one of my favorite things, I'm going to segue back to the microphone thing, is that on the active ribbon that Cloud has, they have a plus 48 on the side.
Yes.
I know it's kind of layman's, but for the dumb kids, you don't know if you're putting 48 to it or not, or if you got a cloud in between it or not. It tells you right there. You need 48 plus 48. Add it right there.
Oh, it's got a
48.
little LED indicator?
It's written on the side of the mic. It says plus 48, like right next to the XLR
Yep.
input. So you put the XLR and you're staring at a thing that says plus 48. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. I usually have to Google just to make sure I'm not gonna mess up the microphone I'm plugging in to make sure whether or not it needs 48. And it tells you right there. I think all mics should write either 48 or like an X 48, so you know whether or not like. I know it's for the
Help
slow kids in the
dummy-proof
back.
us.
Yeah.
I want someone to do some tests. So, microphone manufacturers, put your shit up to the test, send it to Make Believe. I'm gonna actually see if I can blow a microphone up with 48. I think I could blow up your P90.
Absolutely.
I think I could blow up some old RCAs. But
Absolutely.
with these modern, motors and ribbon, magnets, I've never blown one up, and I've made some mistakes, guys.
Dude.
Turn the phantom power on the 121 and unpull the patch.
Dude, fine.
I'm blessed to say I've always had expensive mics that I didn't want to mess up, and they weren't usually mine. So I had to Google every time. So luckily I've never blown anything up. But it took me way longer than it took you. You found out quick.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you unplug a microphone and you're just like, oh, this should have been blown up by all that stuff I've read on the internet. There's so many things in my life that should have been blown up because of
That's
stuff
true.
I read on the internet.
I actually have unplugged quite a few things with 48 hot, and nothing happens.
I mean, to be real, I'm more concerned about pulling 48 hot out of something like a small diaphragm condenser where that thing could get permanently stuck to the back plate or fried against that electric, more. Ribbons, for the most part, the stuff, especially like microphones that Cloud make, I think they're very, very durable.
They're very durable, very modern take on a classic subject, but still true to the sound. But also, it's like, don't do this, but you can nail a hammer in with these things.
Yeah, maybe it comes down to indemnification. It's like, well, if we tell everyone not to do it, then if it does, in that off chance, actually blow up their microphone, then
Right.
definitely not us. And
Right.
all of the cabal of ribbon microphone manufacturers back in the 40s, like Western Electric and RCA and shit, probably got together and did that.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I also think back then it was such a fragile piece of foil that they had on that ribbon. That
Oh, I'm making a joke. They were blowing up those microphones.
Oh, for sure. No, I'm saying I think that now, though, like you said, the materials that we're using, they've probably learned a lot more about the limitations, and I don't think it's such a fragile. I don't think people are making them the exact same way they were doing when, at the
Put 'em-
RCA
put 'em to
factory.
the
Well, maybe we
test.
should go over there.
Put 'em to the
If we were going to blow up a ribbon microphone, it would probably be one of those AEAs.
No, we love Wes.
No,
We
Wes
love
Dooley is great, but those microphones are built, as far as I know, almost exactly like those RCAs.
Right.
So,
Exactly. So be careful.
yep, exactly.
Don't blow my stuff up when you come to my studio.
Do you have a nice ribbon over at your studio?
We do. We actually use the active ribbon Cloud 44.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we
Yep.
love it. I love it. Absolutely. It's like I said, it's a workhorse in my studio because I could just keep it on the same stand if it happens to reach high enough to get a vocal, and I use it on Rhodes. I use it on guitar cab.
Another nice thing about the Cloud mics is compared to the old RCAs like that, You don't need some massive, heavy-duty stand
Yep.
just to handle the weight of this microphone.
Absolutely.
It's a light
Yeah.
mic.
Right.
Just pop it up there.
I just have like a kind of a kick drum mic stand, but one that, telescopes up, so I can literally just bend it down for kick drum, bend it up, do vocals. It's amazing.
Right.
I love it. So. Gang.
So, one thing I want to say and point out as far as ribbon microphones go is that if you are an engineer at home, a lot of people nowadays are buying one really nice microphone to invest into to do their vocals,
Right.
And stacking a lot of vocals with the same microphone, in my opinion, is not the move. I really like to differentiate between the lead vocal microphone and the background vocal microphones.
Great point.
And picking up a really nice ribbon microphone as your secondary microphone to do background vocals can solve a shit ton of problems, in my opinion. It can really help with S's. It can also soften plosives. So when you have a stack of 30 things that come along with the hard P, that ribbon microphone
Right.
is going to make that a lot more musical to listen to than it is if you're going to do that 30 times on a C800G.
I agree.
Sure.
Ooh, that's
Absolutely.
For sure. That's a great point. And just having that contrast, and it's really nice on a little like choir 3-piece background or something like that too, as like a little group vocal mic. It's
Well,
sweet.
Rick makes a great point too. Going back to what I was saying about knowing what I have on the way in. Sometimes when I feel like we're leaning on the plugins, it can just be that, I'll just adjust this afterwards, or let me
Right.
just tweak that a little. Sometimes you can just change the microphone. I mean, even if you go back to using all analog and forget the plugins,
Right.
Can I go over here and roll off the low end and boost this over here and get maybe a better... Sure. Or I can grab a different microphone that maybe already has a little different texture and a different feel and use it on this source, and now it's going to sound better. But, differentiating between the mics, I think that's another great way to, like
That's
Rick's
huge.
saying,
Yeah,
help from getting stuck in that rut.
Yeah, and not to keep harping on our guys over at Cloud, but the one that they offer, I think, is very, very, useful in that sense, because it's got filtering options. It's also got tonal shift options, and then also the front side and the back side of ribbon microphones. The back sides always tend to be brighter, so there's two inherent options as well, just in the front and back of that microphone. Good choice.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's almost like it gives you a wider palette for you to then cut down to where you want, or whatever area frequency spectrum you want to use. It's they're sensitive, but don't let that fool you. They're very useful.
Absolutely. Hey, do you guys, Kevin? Do you use a lot of ribbon microphones on guitar still?
I religiously, so some 57 or 57 equivalent, and then I use a lot of different ones, but I prefer something that sounds quite dark. A good cheap one that I love is the SE Voodoo,
Yeah.
the VR1. I love that microphone. At the Steakhouse, we have the AEA N22s. It's like
Those are
half of an
sweet.
R88.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really, really nice active ribbons. Those are killer on overheads, Glenn John style, like
Yep.
killer on piano.
We used those on rooms recently, and
Yeah.
they were great. Yeah, about 5.5 feet in front of the drum set.
Close rooms is where they live typically. Yeah.
The N8, N22, both great mics.
But on that
Those are
subject, at the Steakhouse, we just got an AEA KU4.
Oh, that's cool.
That is a killer vocal microphone.
Really?
Like in a way that you wouldn't expect a ribbon to be that bright or that, but it takes top end super, super well. And as an alternative to the C800, like the C800 is the right mic unless it's not.
Yes.
Right.
And when it's not, it's like kind of deeply not sometimes.
Yeah, it's jarringly.
Yeah,
It's
like-
jarringly not.
You hear that?
So,
yeah.
that KU4 is a very interesting microphone, because when we talk about the progression of microphones in time, that one is very cool. I don't know if you guys have ever gone into the history of that thing, but it's stuffed with cow hair. Like one specific type of cow hair was used and then braided into a particular pattern to be used as the filter for the capsule of that microphone.
Dude, that's
Wild.
nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts. What mic is that?
The RCA KU4, which AEA has remade.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, and then it's a pencil condenser.
No, it's a large ribbon microphone.
I mean,
Oh,
large.
yes.
Like
the sideways
sideways
filter,
thing. Yeah, it's
or,
fucking giant.
screen?
Yeah.
Dude, that's nuts.
Yep.
Yes. That's crazy. Do they have a pencil condenser?
AEA? I don't know.
No. Yeah, I'm tripping. Somebody give me what y'all smoking today.
Nico's lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it tends to happen pretty often over here.
it's okay.
Well, what's next, guys? What do you guys think? You guys are anything exciting excited to see, or anything exciting you've seen so far? Even though this is the first.
Yeah, I'll say that this is the first time I've ever been at NAMM where I can see like a rom-com starting in front of me. So
I'd see
I'm
that.
very excited to figure out what's going on over
Yeah,
there.
what you guys can't see off camera is that love is in the air.
The love is in the air over here for our
So-
boy Tommy.
So, anywho, guys, Rick, Ryan, Kevin, Make Believe Studios, Make Believe Plugins, the Steakhouse Studios. Tell us about
That's
Steakhouse
right.
Studios.
I love that you guys call your studios even the steakhouse out there.
Well, no, that's his
I'm in North
studio.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Pure coincidence, but
Gotcha.
that's why we get along. But no, the Steakhouse is a studio in North Hollywood that's been around since the 80s. Head engineer over there is Sam Medill. Shout out Sam. He's incredible. And we have a 56-channel Neve board with 48 1064s, a bunch of other stuff. Great live tracking room. It's a studio that was designed for rockers. So like whole band playing at once with multiple ISOs. Speaker cable patch bay to take you all over the building and stuff like that. And
That's cool.
it's a really, really great place to make honestly any kind of music. But growing up listening to rock records, it's a radical building to be in.
Yeah. It's like the Village. I was at the Village for a while, and it's
Village
like
is incredible,
everything
yeah.
you could want, need, or ask for is there in that building. So I get it. No, that's essential.
Yeah, the Steakhouse is one of the best vibes in LA. A lot of places in LA either feel like a dump or a dentist office, and
Yep.
the Steakhouse feels like home.
awesome.
It's so cozy. Like, I have no stomach for studios that feel like hospitals.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Lots
Need a
of
little personality. out
cold
there.
lighting. Yeah, we're the right amount of dirty over there.
Yep, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Dude, rock and roll. Thank
shout
you
out to
guys so
Lee.
much.
Shout out Lee Bench.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming, hanging out with us. My man Josh,
Absolutely.
we go
Thank
way
you, brother.
back. Absolutely. Legends in the building. Legends in the flesh. We're here at NAMM. We're going to go tear it up. This is the first day. May or may not want to date myself, but it's all good. Appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. We'll be seeing you around, seeing what news and who we run into. Lots of great friends, good times, and let's keep kicking butt 2024, baby.
Absolutely, onward and upward.
Let's go.
Onward and upward.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
Gang, we out. Faders of the Lost Art.
Thank you,
See
Faders.
y'all
We
in the next
appreciate
Thank
one.
you.
you.
Thank you guys.
Shout out
Yes,
Nico.
sir. Woo, woo.